You saw the thing.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Frankfurt Book Fair. This is a session on Sub-Saharan publishing. I'll be your host, James Muro, and I have two of the leading people in publishing in Sub-Saharan Africa, and I'll ask them to introduce them and what they do in publishing. And I'll do this alphabetically, so I'll begin with Anwuli from Narrative Landscape. Hello, Anwuli.
Hello, James. Thank you for the invitation to be part of this panel. So I'm a publisher and managing director of Narrative Landscape Press. We are based in Lagos, Nigeria, and we are mostly focused on trade books. We publish literary novels, which is the core of our publishing.
Thank you, Anwuli. Zukiswa.
My name is Zukiswa Wanner, and I am the publisher for Paivapo, which is in Southern and East Africa. And like Anwuli, like Narrative Landscape, we focus on trade publishing, but we haven't done as much as they have. So I'm looking at them to see how to do things.
Okay, so clearly Anwuli is a senior sister in this discussion. So maybe we can start with you, Anwuli. You might be the senior sister. You're still relatively new in publishing on the continent.
Yeah.
How has the experience of you setting up, and what are some of the challenges you've had to go through as a company?
Could you repeat that question again? I lost it for a little bit.
Oh, sorry. So I'm asking, you're the one who's the senior, who's been publishing longer than Zukiswa. So yes. I want to know some of the challenges and the opportunities that you've had, setting up the publishing house and getting the authors and setting up.
Well, setting up publishing house was a natural choice for me because I've been in publishing for about 9 years before myself and my business partner, decided to set up our own thing. So it was at the time we had done that because there are many elements that come into being able to set up a house, and one of the things that is fundamental is earning the trust of the writers. So we had to decide if we're going to set up a publishing house, are we going to be able to attract the attention of talented young Nigerian or even African writers to this house. So the business part was easy. It didn't really take a lot. We literally didn't have anything, but we put together our pennies and we set this up. And fortunately we built a reputation, myself and my business partner, over time. And so when we started to seek the attention of talented writers to come join us, it was easier to do that. And so we have, regardless of the challenges, which are many, coming from infrastructure to distribution, which I guess we'll probably get into more along the way in the discussion. We've been able to, cement relationships with very, very interesting writers. We want to do more. We have our challenges, but our aspiration is to do more and also to diversify as well. So it was easy to set up, and it was easy to attract the kind of writers that we needed because we've already been in publishing for so long that we could earn the trust of writers to join us.
And one of the writers in your stable is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. How did you do that?
Well, I've known Chimamanda since so I started my publishing career in the publishing house that she started with, which is Farafina. I joined Farafina as a reader, more or less, and then I graduated to an assistant editor. And so when Purple Hibiscus began to gather attention at the time, she wasn't mainstream at all the way that she is now. So I worked with her. I used to, we should go on national tours together. So I knew her to that extent. So I sort of had built a relationship with her. So at the time when we started the company, myself and my business partner, and Chimamanda had made a decision to switch publishing houses. We were a natural choice because also she has a relationship with my business partner, which was good at the time, and so it was a natural choice. She saw two people that she could trust, and she had already had, and that's one of the things I say: earning writers trust. She felt that she could trust us because we were with her from the beginning. So she knew, oh, these are my people, these are the people that know me, have been with me through my books and everything else. So because she was shopping, we went through a proper, what do you call it, selection process because there were other contenders. So we were the ones that were selected.
Congratulations. And you, Zukiswa, tell me about your publishing house and how it was set up, and what are some of the challenges?
I was, as I mentioned earlier, we haven't nearly published as much as Anwuli and Narrative Landscape in their short period. But what I have done is the one thing that I wanted to do. I haven't had like major challenges. The first book that came to me wasn't something that I would have actually thought of doing. It was a children's anthology, and with 12 writers from 8 African countries. And fortunately for me, with that particular project, it was already paid for. But I realized it was such a brilliant project. I decided to take it over. That I spent the next year after that really just trying to get as many translations in Southern and Eastern African languages as I could, because it's a book that I felt every young child should have access to. And so that has really, so it's been where people say, oh, we want, the major challenge I think is where people say, oh, we want something, can we have something in our language for my children? And then I say, hey, you know what, get the money and I'll do it. And a lot of the people who talk don't walk, but there have been few people who've talked and walked. So we managed to get at least 4 translations, and yeah.
I'm also aware that you're the publisher of Mukoma and Googies We the Scard. How did that come about?
Oh, that's an interesting story, because I read his Mrs. Shaw, which is what the book is known as in the United States, where it was first published. And I read it because I had nothing else to read. I wasn't going to read a book called Mrs. Shaw, to be honest. I'm like, yeah, I think I've read enough literature on old white women. But I read it and I realized it wasn't about Mrs. Shaw. It was misnames. There was so much more, although there is a Mrs. Shaw in the book. But it was a book that I felt, set in a fictional country, it was a book that I felt should actually be read by everybody on this continent, because it's the constant hope, of like a new republic, and the constant disappointment, although it's set in a fictional country. And so initially I wasn't even thinking about publishing it. I just contacted his publishers so that I could ask whether they could send me copies, because I wanted him to come for something that I was curating for the Artistic Encounters. And they told me they didn't have any copies, and they asked me whether I wanted the African rights. So I was like, yeah, of course I want the African rights. And yeah, and I bought the rights from them for the next 5 years. And yeah, magic happened. And now we have it out, and it has been on one read already, and it has been doing well despite the pandemic. We had planned to do all these tours across Southern and East Africa, but yeah, doing well despite the lack of travel.
Anwuli, you alluded earlier about the infrastructure struggles of a publisher, whether they're starting out or whether they've been established. I want to know, which are these struggles? What kind of infrastructure issues are there from when you're publishing in Nigeria and the Greater West African region? You're muted.
So I will speak in internally Nigeria, like a Nigerian problem, and what we encounter in trying to reach the rest of West Africa. One of the major problems that we encounter is the protection of intellectual property, which is a very, very, very important thing. From Nigeria to Ghana, I've seen pirated books on the roads. I don't know how it is in other, West African countries, but it's just so easy to take someone's book and just make copies of them and sell them on the streets. So that's one of, and it causes, it's causing a very bad reputation for us of the West, especially in the case of trying to buy rights, because they don't trust us, because it's a big issue of chasing rights, and they have all these terms that they put in place in order to try to control it, which, in my opinion, is indignifying. But I understand why they would do that. Another problem that we have is in terms of distribution. Now, here in Lagos and in Nigeria, we have a huge problem of a lack of bookstores. We don't have enough bookstores to be able to. So if I did buy the Lagos rights of Mrs. Shaw, there's just so many limited locations where bookstores that I can distribute them to. But we put them, and again, trying to also sell books beyond Lagos, to transport books from Lagos to Ghana, Lagos from Ghana to anywhere else is so costly that it doesn't make sense sending shipping books, because of all the cost that is added to the book just to ship, just get someone to read another person's book. It's so costly. So that entire thing about trying to trade within African borders, it's a huge nightmare. Another those are the two major problems for us. The things that we would, if they could go away, I think that publishing in West Africa would flourish more, because we would have access to each other, and we would be able to protect our rights, and we'd be able to do much more with people who want to collaborate with us because of those things.
So, I mean, with all the problems that you have, you still have a functioning publishing business which actually pays its salaries. How have you been able to do this?
Okay, so like I said, though they are limited. So we have social media. So social media has created a beautiful avenue to be able to sell. Has created a sales distribution and channel that initially, how many years ago, wasn't such a popular option. One of the things we've also experienced is the emergence of local tech companies that have created e-readers and are doing successfully. They are not even literary people, they're just techies in publishing. And so they have also created another medium for us to distribute our books. So distribution now is not just the physical copy for us. Distribution now is digital as well. And we have social media connect with all different kinds of audiences, so that different people can help us, can reach our books and can sell our books and can, and we also have book club. Book clubs play a fundamental aspect in sales, because they come together as groups and they purchase books in volume and they sell, and it's all over the country. So we've had this ability to diversify the way that we sell our books, and we produce them. Fortunately, we produce good books and people are interested in them. So we've gotten lots of people who want to read what we produce. And what we function, but one of the good things about, we may have limited bookstores, but they are very well run. It's very structured. Everything from discounts to everything else to remittance of money and everything is very well structured and properly done. So with that section, I mean, so long as your book is not on the streets, and like my business partner would say, if your book is on the streets is a form of flattery. It means that's enough to photocopy your book, but it's rare that people would do that. So if our books are not being sold on the streets, they are definitely being sold by structured, accountable booksellers who we publicize and sell our books as well. So we do generate income through these channels that I just explained. It makes it reasonable. It could be better. It could be better if we had libraries. It could be better if we had more bookstores. It could be better if we're able to distribute all over West Africa, but we don't have that. So what we have, it works adequately. I won't say exponentially, but it works enough to help us stay profitable.
Zukiswa, have you also encountered the challenges of distribution, borders, and how have you been able to deal with that?
It's a challenge that I actually enjoyed, in particular with Southern and East Africa, because we're able to travel quite a bit without worrying about visas for a lot of countries. But generally, what I have done with that particular distribution is essentially when I'm here in Kenya, for instance, what I will do is I will talk to Louise in Kigali from Chris, and I say, I would like you to stock some of my writers' books, and she says to me, fantastic, I would love to stock them and distribute them, and and I'll do the same with Uganda. I'll do the same with TZ, and all I need to do is just go to the long distance bus, and I put them on the bus. Those packages cost nothing, if I'm sending maybe like 25, 30, 50 books, it's it's less than $20 for that package, and so it's very negligible when it comes to them putting a markup on book sales. It's a very small amount. I do the same thing in Southern Africa. I go, and when I'm in Joburg, I'll go and I'll say, okay, where are we going? South Africa is very easy because I can then give the different bookshops, and a lot of the different independent bookshops in South Africa, they distribute all over the country, so people can order online and then they'll send them, via PEP stores or any of the different distribution channels, or the post office or something else. With the neighboring countries, with Eswatini, with Botswana, with Zimbabwe, with Namibia, same thing. I just put them on the bus, and I put them on the bus, and then there's somebody to pick them up on the other side, or they deliver them to the house, and that's it, and I pay for it. So, yeah, I think if we get into a space where we look at international couriers like DHL, and we'll probably be in trouble because we can't. There's no way we can afford that. But buses, a bus driver is always happy to have a little extra income, from delivering a package, because people are like, books, what? And you can be sure that they likely also won't be stolen. It's a beautiful thing. No, I mean, really, like, when riots are done, people break into like bottle stores and they break into grocery stores. Nobody breaks into a bookstore, And so similarly, when they're stealing things at the border, you can be sure that they'll steal groceries, they'll steal clothes, but they're not going to steal books. You're good.
Wow. That's true. I mean, when I see the riots on TV, they're breaking into electronic stores. I don't see nobody breaking into Barnes and Nobles. I never have broken into Barnes and Nobles.
Nobody breaks into bookstores. It's beautiful.
Dream come true. So true.
But I hope we're not giving readers any ideas.
We're going to be wrapping this up. Because we're talking, this is a Frankfurt Book Fair event. I'm sure those who are watching this broadcast would be interested to know what are some of the opportunities for a publisher who's on the eastern Southern Africa or West Africa, and what opportunities do you see for now and in the future that maybe either they partner with you or that are available to somebody who wants to come into this business? We'll start with Anwuli.
Well, I would say that I would say that we're very interested in um, voices from other parts of Africa, eastern part of Africa. So in that sense, and I think that would want to be one of the things that would make distribution easy for us. I think I really envy you, Zukiswa, that your ability to be able to trade up across borders is so easy. One of the things I thought about was, if you have rights to a writer that I'm interested in, I have rights to a writer that you're interested in. We could just trade rights. Like, you publish in, South Africa, I publish here in Nigeria. So those sort of collaborations and say, okay, we've jointly published this writer that, we think you can find him in Kenya, in South Africa, in Nigeria, and it's also a joint effort to spread this. It would have to be deliberate. I know that a lot of times people pick things that they want to publish, but if something that across East and West Africa, we both like this writer and there's an opportunity, I would love to collaborate in that way, or we would like to collaborate in that way.
Absolutely, I think it's a great idea. We have certainly, Pineapple has certainly done that with some of the titles we've done. We have just sent PDFs to another publisher, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Instead of me physically bringing books, because it's costly to send to West Africa, and there isn't a bus that comes from Kenya or from South Africa that goes to West Africa, so it's not going to be that easy. So it's costly to do that. So usually, what I have done, and it has worked out very well, because I have known then that there are books available in Nigeria, and when necessary, I also say to somebody like Nana, I say, listen, you want these books, you can get them from Nigeria, and there's somebody traveling between Nigeria and Ghana every day, so you just say, come on, Chale, can you carry this? And they do that,
Yeah, I agree.
No, this is really interesting. We have to cut it here. I would be interested to know, this is a question I was asked. There are a lot of women in publishing in Africa. Is this a thing? I've noticed that this is one of the areas where the patriarchy is not as strong as other parts of other sectors. Do you agree with this, Zukiswa?
I absolutely agree, but I think perhaps it makes sense because the biggest writers on the continent are women, and the biggest book buyers are women. Sorry to say, I know men read books, but they read important books like The Monk That Sold His Ferrari or something like that.
That's
so,
a number.
So
actually read that.
Our biggest market, I haven't actually experienced book clubs with majority of men. I've experienced a lot of book clubs with women,
I think it's because we bond, women like to form communities, which is, one of the things that attracts us to, things that we can surround ourselves with, and where we can just come together. I know men, I don't know, I don't understand men, so I will not speak for them. But my opinion about women in publishing is that I think that you have men dominate the educational space, and we dominate the independent trade space. And I think, I see there's a lot of that in Nigeria. You have, there's Lagos. In Lagos, you find a lot of independent trade publishers, and who are women, from Bibi Bakari, Lola Shoneni, my company, Parisia Azafi, even have Farafina, who's run by an Adichie from Farafina. So you have those, and those are very visible publishing houses. But when you talk about educational companies, the few you call are men, at least in Nigeria. So there's a clear demarcation. Women are strong. Women stay here. I would say I'm a more innovative aspect of publishing, because I find what we do very innovative. And then men are very centered in a space that is more lucrative, to be honest. So I guess we're more driven by passion. There isn't a balance in that sense. I guess the men don't see money here, so they don't come to this space. But in that sense, we don't see. And so you'll also find a lot of female leadership in trade publishing. You don't find that in educational publishing. So a lot of women find comfort in and also rise to leadership. Either they're creating their own or they're partnering with someone else or something. But women lead in this space that we are, compared to the dominant male space of educational publishing, where I don't know any female publishers. I think I know only one person that I've ever seen. If the room full of, during the National Publishers Association, I saw one woman in the hall, and I didn't see anybody else. So I think we've chosen our paths. There isn't a real maybe balance per se, because men have chosen one part and we have chosen the other. And I feel if we try to go to the other, it would probably be hard for us because it's tied down to what they think is, their space, more or less.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you want to have a final word from each of you? Just a quick final word as we wrap up. Maybe you say something to our friends in Frankfurt.
Well, thank you for the invitation, Frankfurt Book Fair. It's been very lovely to have this chat with Anwuli. And I think from this chat, I was also able to garner about where we as Five Apple can work with narrative landscape. Although they have been playing an already amazing mentoring role already. So, but I look forward to doing more work and to distributing amongst ourselves and seeing where it can take us.
Yes. I want to say thank you to the Frankfurt Book Fair. It's been a great opportunity, being on this panel, talking to Zukiswa, and very enlightening. Just, I feel a little jealous just hearing how easy it is for you to cross borders with your books. But I'm glad for this opportunity to learn that, there are collaborative opportunities, between us, our companies, and who knows, maybe capture the rest of Africa. So it's been wonderful, and I look forward to the future too.
Thank you very much, ladies. I'm hoping you have a nice day. And thank you for those of you who are watching from out there. I hope you have a great rest of the Frankfurt Book Fair.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.